I wasn't too sure on how I wanted to approach this topic because of how spicy people get when you mention the words low vis. I mean, it's subjective to most because the scenarios can go many ways based on the intentions of the loadout. But before we dive deep and get a grasp of how we can set something up for the remainder of 2024 and beyond, we'll have to ask the obvious question: what exactly is low visibility? And why the heck would anyone want a loadout of such? And just like that, we're about to shove a square peg in a round hole. From most people's point of view, the first thing that comes to mind is gray man, where your attire is the makeup of the average civilian blended in with society, which would mean your low-vis loadout would consist of your everyday carry: a pistol, the components to carry your pistol, a backup mag, some medical items, and a pocket blade of some sort. But then you get guys like me, which from my interpretation, a low visible setup would consist of a loadout prepped for a mission, but in concealable fashion. Basically a beefed up EDC, but in a well-prepared manner, if that makes sense. And since the focal point has been SHTF for the past few months, we'll use that topic as an example to paint a clearer picture. The setting is post-apocalypse and you're a part of a small community where every day you have to go out and find food and water in order to survive. Those missions consist of wandering in uncharted territories where potential threats and survivors may come into contact with you and your team. In order to make sure you come home with the rations needed for the community, you'll have to be well equipped for mayhem if the occasion arises, but also keeping a low profile while blending in with the surroundings. In my opinion, a simple EDC in these circumstances wouldn't be adequate enough for potential arms encounters, but one can also say that so are the odds of actually being in a post-apocalyptic environment. And like I stated earlier in this video, this is why opinions on this particular topic are subjective, because it's all based on interpretation. There essentially is no right or wrong when it comes to low vis, which is why I'm making a video based on realistic expectations on a setup that I think can be beneficial in today's times but also beyond 2024. When constructing the right components for a low vis loadout, we'll have to circle back to the why of this video. Aside from your typical Saturday secret ops missions on the range, if you live in America, then you know these past few years have been a little rough. Us as American citizens have had a target on our back, not in a literal sense and not because of us, the person in the mirror, but because of our system and the people who lead us and represent us as a nation. Because of this, there's been a snowball effect causing a societal disruption which has affected how we go about our daily living situations. I don't think it's necessary to go into details because we all have access to the internet and it's not hard to do a little research to figure out where our problems are occurring. I also think this particular topic can be another video that we can circle back in the future. In conclusion, the point is that our old norm, a simple EDC, a pistol and a few other components, might be a bit outdated to keep up with what threats may be lurking as we go about our daily activities in 2024. Concealment plays a massive role when keeping a low profile, and in my opinion, I think is the most important role when constructing a low-vis loadout. Remember, the goal is to always avoid all problematic situations if you can, which is why I think utilizing a bag of some sort to carry your components could play a pivotal role when keeping your person's identity under the public eye. When out bag hunting, packs that aren't too loud on camo colors that have a molly webbing layout on the externals and decals that paint the description that you're about that life are some of the things, in my opinion, people should avoid. And while there are a few bags that fit this topic like Vertex, for an example, rather than your basic JanSport backpack, life's all about curveballs. And packs like a North Face bag are the perfect layout that can give you the element of surprise because no one thinks you're holding, insert whatever primary weapon system you have, along with a few other goodies inside. Outdoor backpacks are also known to give the user access to additional real estate while still keeping its compact configuration. And though these bags may lack internal layouts like a hook loop system compatible for tactical applications, its simplicity is well suitable for this environment, marking its common presence in the public scene. But there's more than meets the eye when it comes to your overall personal identification. Another focal point that I think could be detrimental to your low profile is the ability to mask your distinction when out in public. Enter the packable jacket. They're cheap, lightweight, and do one thing extremely well, and that's hide your identity at a moment's notice if things pop off or if you're trying to cover your tracks. I can get good use out of this Magellan Outdoors packable jacket because if all else fails, it's a $20 poncho that can be consolidated in a 5x5 inch mini cube that'll only take up minimal space in my bag. I'm running black to break up the color patterns throughout the rest of my kit so I won't stick out like a sore thumb in heated times. If you're running a low-vis kit, I highly recommend a cheap packable jacket to include in your list. A beefed up EDC doesn't usually refer to full-blown loadouts. but that doesn't mean we should hinder our capabilities just because certain setups aren't normalized. I've added the SafeLine Defense Tactical Belt as a part of my low-vis setup for a few reasons. The belt's construction is concealable, leaving me no restrictions with wardrobe. Its profile can also be used as an EDC belt so you can leave on your person as you go about your daily duties. Also, its Molly weapon layout is an ecosystem that coordinates well with every other piece that's a part of the kit. Running a few supporting casts, which include a few pouches and a quick connecting system for my holster, for those wondering, I'm having no hard time shoving it in my bag in time-sensitive settings. Because of all these benefits, this can be an option if you're looking for a belt that can run hybrid setups that can evenly supply your kit's configuration. It's not irrational to run body armor nowadays in go bags or EDC kits because of the state the world is in. Level 3A protection is often a usual routine when supplying your kit when on the go for profiting its lightweight capabilities. Combine this with businesses like Cry Precision, and it can make it convenient for you to have your cake and eat it too. Their LVS over plate carrier can provide a slick profile, thin enough to conceal under layers of clothing, but also gives me the performance to run at full scale if need be. Their enclosed front pouch system gives you 3 elastic openings for whatever accessories you choose to run. The Overt's connecting system has a blueprint constructed of Velcro for quick access situations, but there's also Velcro in key areas to give the user other options to attach hook loop compatible equipment as well. And because the plate carrier has the option to provide level 3A protection, you can also use it as a defense shield inside your kit rather than deploying from your bag. If your location represents heavy criminal activity, then it would make sense to include this part of the kit as an option. The higher the threat and criminal history your region contains, the more likely you'll have to invest in personal body armor. If you're someone like me who favors running a multiple weapon system format in a low-vis configuration, then you know that the room for error is very little when choosing the right primary source because profiling and weight can be your breaking point. Consolidation can also be your biggest enemy when taking down your weapon, so consider these and choose wisely. This is where law tactical adapters and piston-driven mechanics will thrive in low-vis situations, so consider those options as well. For new shooters, the key ingredient is knowing your tools, your confidence level when operating them, and your caliber of choice. I'm usually running 5.56 because the ballistics should benefit me well in these types of scenarios. For this caliber, I'm usually operating the Mark 18 Mod 1 with a 10.3-inch barrel. I have it jazzed out with all the accessories and tuned for a can if need be, but my suggestion would also be to include a 300 blackout build of some sort because you'll get full benefit running in the quiet configuration. Ballistics will show maximum capability when operating subsonic loads while optimizing a minimal barrel length. An 8.3-inch barrel is the sweet spot for 300 blackout builds, and anything bigger than a 10.5-inch barrel for 5.56 is pushing it. For those interested in an in-depth breakdown on both of these builds in this video, I'll leave a link in the description. The core to your low-vis setup should typically include what you usually run in an EDC format, i.e. your daily driver. The same principles for your primary weapon system will apply to your secondary because when the worst possible outcome unravels, you're more than likely to deploy either of the two before any other item in your kit. I'm usually bouncing from either the Glock 19 or the 17 because I have more runtime with rounds through the pipe versus any other pistol in the vault, considering muscle memory playing a role here. If I'm running the 17, I'll usually dress it with the RMR in a light. The light option in this video is a Surefire X300U. If it's the 19, I'll keep the bare components on and an X300U comes along for the ride. Threaded barrels are a plus if you're functioning in quiet mode, especially if it's a low vis loadout. Grey Ghost makes really good match grade barrels and I highly recommend those guys if you're in the market for a threaded barrel. And since I'm operating in a pistol format as my secondary, I'm running a Think Through Tag Gambit OWB holster in the light configuration to fill any unwanted voids. Given that the Gambit holster has a universal footprint, it works well with the SafeLine Defense Tac Belt as I'm able to utilize Safariland's quick locking system. Medical, handheld lights, and backup mags are also a necessity if your kit is a bit extreme like mine. Therefore, some sacrifices will be made in order to find the right balance to include the additional supporting casts. If it means to give up other components to relieve real estate in your bag, then so be it. You can also find other methods on your person to fill those voids as well. When constructing this low-vis loadout, I simply grabbed what I own and came up with a system that revolves around my commute setting and the environment around me. In conclusion, personal preference is key. But I also kept in mind that times are changing and so is society, and with that becomes new threat levels that have access to the same technology as we do. We also have to understand and being in tune with what's around us as we go about our everyday lives is also an important factor. So building a setup built to withstand 2024 and beyond is essential. For those interested in all the components in this video, I'll leave a few links with the names down in the description. As for now, I'm gonna wrap this video up. To support the movement, go ahead and click the thumbs up and the subscribe button as well, as we appreciate all of you who have supported us throughout the years. Until then, we'll see you guys in the next video.